what are some benefits for a seller to have a pre-inspection before listing a property?
Yes. So, to try to mitigate, the goal would be to have a consultation with an inspector to mitigate the concern for major discrepancies to come up on the back end of the home inspection or back end of the process of sale, which is very good right now because the market is slower and there are less purchasers and deals are falling apart. Right. And anything that you can do to list your house and mitigate the risk for losing a sale due to whatever reason, like if it costs you a couple $100 up front to go, hey, this is usually consultations are less than a full inspection. Right. Because you're just walking through the home owner and saying, hey, these are some of the major things. And we're not going to cover everything because John Doe from ABC 123 Home Inspection might come through and talk about the little door handle and the nick paint on the wall and nitpick the place to death, and maybe we don't talk about that in the consultation. So generally up front, you'll kind of talk about like, hey, we're going to look at the roof, we're going to look at the electric panel, we're going to look at like GFIs, water heater, see if you got any kind of termites, we'll check your foundation. It's like the big meat and potatoes of the structure, because one, the homeowner already kind of knows the ins and outs of their house, right? But to look at it and go, hey, your roof is not as good as you think it is. Right, you got some things that need to be fixed at a minimum. This is what's going to come up. Maybe they just don't know that part of it, right? Well, the other part, hold on one second. The other part of the benefit there would be to kind of know what the home inspection process, what to expect on the other end of it, right? It's like, okay, well, a home inspector is going to come through and they're going to be doing these things. Make sure your electric panel is available. Make sure your water heater is available. Make sure everything's functional. Make sure that they can get to it and test it and all that stuff, right? Put extra light bulbs. Just little things that, man, I've seen people, the light doesn't work in a fan. They're like, oh my God, does that mean like it's not wired right? I'm like, no, the fan's on. Like clearly it's got electricity. The lights are just out. And they're like, well, how do you know? I'm like, well, logic tells me that the fan comes as a complete fixture. It gets tied to the actual power source. So if the fan has power, therefore the light system has power. But I'll tell you what, I'll take this tiny little stick and I'll click the chain and it'll go beep, beep, beep. See, look, it's got power. Told you. It's like you hired me.
Just bring an extra light bulb in your truck, and just screw it. Like, here you go.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. We don't have to, but I'm not doing it anyway. I wouldn't do it anyway. I'd go, hey, Chris, go buy some lights.
Yeah.
Make your client happy.
I would say this, like I typically will tell a seller, pre-listing, be like, look, if you want to know, if they're asking me, hey, Chris, like, what is it that you think might need to be fixed or what's going to be a major, issue? And, obviously sometimes I haven't even been able to get into the attic. And, a lot of times that, we found over, and I'm sure all of us can attest to this, a lot of stuff is typically inside the attic.
Yeah, I make my money in attics and crawl spaces.
Yeah. So, I usually say, well, hey, look, we can pay some, a couple $100 to get a pre-inspection just so where you have a general idea of what a buyer is going to come at you for. And then also it will help me too, price-wise, like, okay, hey, if this is something you're willing to negotiate or you're not going to fix it, well, that will help with pricing the house and get it sold quicker.